I don't want to prematurely celebrate, but the fact that I've even made it to 39 plus 6, given what I have gone through for the past week, is incredible. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and I am documenting the end of my second and final pregnancy. This is going to be a really quick video because I have very little time to film it. But today I am 39 weeks and 6 days, so this is going to qualify as my 40-week pregnancy update. And I feel pretty confident that even if I were to go into labor like today, I still think I'd make it to my due date. So I don't want to prematurely celebrate, but the fact that I've even made it to 39 plus 6, given what I have gone through for the past week, is incredible. So, just to backtrack a little, this whole week I have been suffering from intense prodromal labor. It is pre-labor. The contractions, they're not just Braxton Hicks, they're real contractions, but they have not led to like active labor yet. I have no idea how dilated I am, if at all. I have no idea how effaced I am, but I'm sure I've got that going for me at least. I get the contractions all throughout the day now. They started at, I think, 39 plus 0, if memory serves me correctly. It's hard to tell. God, did they start sooner? Now I don't even know when. Now I don't even know how long I've been going through this. Maybe they even started before this week. I literally can't remember. It feels like I've been having these contractions for an eternity. All I know is that I had a night where they were timeable, and they were coming every 7.5 to, I don't know, like 8.5 to 10.5 minutes or something like that. They were lasting a minute. And then like every night, with the exception of not last night, but the night before. So 39 plus 4, going into 39 plus 5, I slept through the night and I had none. But every other day this week, I have had these contractions, particularly at night. They're timeable, they're rhythmic, they just don't get any closer than 7.5 minutes apart, yeah. And they don't get any worse feeling than like maybe one notch worse than my worst menstrual cramp. But it's the whole thing. I feel it in my whole uterus. I feel the cramping in my back, my front, my pelvic floor. It just has not transpired into anything. In addition to that, I have had some moments of enormous pelvic pressure, and that like lightning crotch feeling where it feels like, you know, the nerves are kind of starting to fire down there when he's really low and his head is pressing down on my cervix. When he does drop into my pelvis like that, my contractions are unstoppable. They come anywhere from like 1 to 3 minutes, and I have to do sort of like a puppy pose, where it's sort of like downward dog, but on the knees, to sort of disengage him. I pretty much more or less have had myself on bed rest this whole week. Part of that is to just recover as much energy and strength as possible after the cold that I've had for the past 2 weeks. Part of it is because my daughter has gotten really sick. We suspect she has strep throat just based off of the symptoms. So then I was, you know, just lying on the couch with her. I have really restless nights, crappy sleep. So I've just been worn out and really have not wanted to encourage labor to start at all. Toward the middle of this week, I think it was 39 plus 4, my husband and I did decide to just do a final pack up of all of our last minute items. We got the car seat ready. We did like a whole clean of the house. We packed a go bag for my daughter in case my in-laws wanted to take her somewhere. We did get all of that ready because the prodromal labor contractions I was having up until that point were just so intense and so frequent that I just didn't see myself getting to this point at all. And I made sort of a decision in that moment that I wasn't going to stop it. I actually took an evening primrose oil pill orally, and I put clary sage oil into my oil diffuser, and tried to like breathe some of that in until I realized it's like a totally disgusting smell to me. I don't like it. So then I turned it off. And maybe I put too much oil in the diffuser. That's probably what I did. And then on 39+5, I woke up after like the best night of sleep of my life and felt incredible. I had so much energy. I went out with my daughter. We were out for a couple hours outside, just cruising. I never needed a nap that day. I felt totally normal. And I did take 2 evening primrose oil pills that day, which was actually yesterday. Just because all of a sudden I'm like, oh God, I could go weeks feeling this way. Maybe I was just dehydrated or something, and that's what was causing all these contractions, because I'd started drinking a lot more water. But then the contractions started up again that night, and I had a horrible night of sleep last night. I was up pretty much the whole night. What little sleep I did get was very feverish. I had the contractions plus constant menstrual cramping, even between the contractions. And on top of all of that, I had, let's just say, extremely loose bowel movements during the night, which I know they say can be a sign of labor coming. I have not been able to use the restroom like my whole pregnancy. So this was the first time it was ever easy, and it was bad. So that kind of worried me. So this morning I skipped my dose of evening primrose oil because I am so close to my goal that I do not want to cause anything to happen. It is right now noon, so I am 12 hours officially away from my due date. Goal number 1. But the most important goal is I do not want to have this baby in 2018, especially the last day of 2018. I mean, it would be really fun to have another due date baby. My daughter was born on her due date, so that would be special. But I am so close to 2019. I want to have this baby in 2019. I am having a contraction right now, but it's a light one, so I think I can talk through it. Just because there's a lot of benefits to having a baby born in the beginning of the year versus the end of the year here, like with the way the school systems work and stuff. So I'm trying to hold it together, you guys. I'm trying, and I have my mind so set on this goal that it's like I've made myself into a martyr. My husband keeps telling me that I need to just relax and let whatever needs to happen. Don't let this influence my like biological processes. But I can't help it. I'm so set on making it to the finish line that, I don't know. Maybe I'm impeding my own labor progress, but I cannot believe I've kept it together. One really important thing, when I was 39+3, I actually ended up going into the hospital. I had my midwife appointment earlier that day. Everything was fine, but I had mentioned how from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday, I had dramatically decreased fetal movements. I was in the hospital on Sunday because of my cold. I think I talked about this in my last video. I had that really bad chest cold and I needed some breathing treatments. And I had told them that, and so they sent me to labor and delivery just to get a heart rate strip done to make sure the baby was okay, and everything was fine. But Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, fetal movements decreased so much that when I had my midwife appointment on Wednesday morning, I told her that I had not felt him move in about 12 hours, like little tiny movements, completely abnormal for him. So she told me she wants me to go home, drink a shit ton of like cold apple juice or something, lay on my left side for 2 hours, and if I didn't count 10 movements in that time, I was to call labor and delivery right away. So I did that. I drank 2 whole glasses of ice cold apple juice. I laid on my left side and I counted the whole of 2 movements. And so I called labor and delivery and I said, look, my gut tells me everything is fine, but this is not okay. What's going on? It's not normal. I'm really sorry to do this, but do you guys think I need to come in and get checked? And they said, absolutely, come in. And it was like, God, I love my hospital. It was the most seamless process. I was in and out in 2 hours, and that includes like a full waiting room where I got immediately into a room. They hooked me up to the monitors. They did the CTG strip on me. And then they put me back in the waiting room for a few minutes, and then I got to see an obstetrician. No, no, no. Was it an obstetrician? I don't know. And they did a full scan, like a full-on scan. They checked everything. They checked the blood flow of the placenta. They checked to confirm that they saw like the breathing movements. The ultrasound tech told me that seeing the space between the diaphragm and the liver like go up and down, showing that the baby's breathing. She said that that's the best sign they have that the baby is doing well, is just a normal rhythmic breathing. And he had that. The blood flow in and out on the cord was perfectly fine. So she said baby's getting adequate nutrients. He was like making very, very small movements. So like at least there was that. His heart was fine. All of his organs were fine. She did all of his measurements, and she told me, she's like, look, since you're this far along and you're having decreased movements, she's like, I just need to let you know that if we see that he's on the smaller side, you might be admitted and we might just have to do an induction, because it might be a sign that it's time for him to come out, that he'd be better out than in. But when she saw that the placenta was working perfect, and then she did her measurements, she said that just from what she was seeing, everything looked totally fine, but she was going to put it into the computer and it's going to spit out this estimate of how big the baby is. Now, I already know that growth estimates past the anatomy scan, actually pretty much past the dating scan, can be pretty off. She says they use a formula that tries to keep it within a 10% error of margin. But when it gets to be this gestation, it can be up to 20% wrong in either direction. She puts the measurements in, and here I am telling her I had my daughter at 40 plus 0. My daughter weighed about 3,000 grams, which is like 6.5 pounds or something. And she was measuring 3 weeks behind. And as of my 37-week appointment, this baby was measuring 3 weeks behind just on fundal height. So I was assuming that I have like a similarly sized baby. And she puts the calculations in and she goes, okay. She goes, if we use the adjusted figure, so this figure adjusts the measurements downward because they tend to always get overestimated the later you are in gestation. She says, if we use the adjusted figure, your baby's measuring at 3.6 kilograms, which is 7 pounds and 15 ounces, you guys. That's the adjusted figure. And then she said, if we just use the straight calculation and don't adjust it for any kind of overestimation, he's measuring at 3.9 kilograms, which is like 8 pounds and 10 ounces. So suffice it to say, it sounds like I have a bigger baby in my belly than I did with my daughter. So that's exciting. Anyway, yeah, so but everything turned out fine. I had contractions all over the place on the monitor. Well, not all over the place. I had 2 contractions in 22 minutes on the monitor. And the baby's heart rate, I mean, he was still as a stick. His heart rate didn't go up past 150. But he's still moving. He's just not moving as much as he used to. I know he's okay. I think he's just settling in, and getting ready for the journey out, I guess. But that was that journey, and it makes me really nervous, especially that I have been feeling him quite a bit today, not as much as I have him throughout my pregnancy, but I've felt him enough today where I'm like, okay, he's good, but it makes me really nervous. Like, I'm ready to just get him out, but I'm also just wanting him to hang in there until 2019. It'll be better for him, I think. I weighed myself this morning, so 39 plus 6, not officially 40 plus 0, but I weighed in at 78.1 kilograms, which is a 0.1 gain from 39 plus 0. So in total, as of 40 weeks, I have gained 11.5 kilograms, which I'm very happy with. And I don't know what else to say. I've noticed tiny, tiny bits of what looks like my mucus plug coming out, but it's hard to say because I don't really spend all that much time analyzing that kind of stuff. I mostly just like make sure I'm not bleeding at this point. The best way I can describe how my real contractions feel is like with my Braxton Hicks, I feel the tightening, but it is totally isolated to my belly. Usually I feel it I mean, it's my whole belly, of course, but I feel it a lot at the very base if my baby has dropped low, and I feel it like way high up here, but like on my belly. So I feel it here on like the extended part of my belly, if he's higher up, and I just feel it wrap around my baby, and it's just a tightening. There's no pain, but my real contractions, I feel that like tingly constriction way high up, and it radiates down and around and then under my pelvic floor, and the entire part of, like, just all of my body is engaged, and the cramping is just like everywhere. I would say the cramping is mostly from my belly button down, and then I just feel my whole pelvic floor tightening. It feels like, maybe it's not, maybe it's being pulled apart, but it feels like a tightening. And they all last at least a minute, 55 seconds to a minute and 5 seconds. And they are not fun. It's humbled me a little bit, and it's made it very, very real. Knowing what I have to face going into labor and delivery, because I have a very good reminder of how this is all going to feel and how it's going to go down. But I've got it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get it done. And the only question is, how long is it going to last, and when is it going to happen? And I feel like I'm being torn in 4 different directions. I feel like it could either happen today or 2 weeks from now, and that it will last 2 hours, all of it, start to finish, start to birth, because of what I've been going through, all the way to like 36 hours, because why has labor not started yet after all these contractions? Maybe something is just not working right, and it could be a really long labor. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea. But this has now gotten to be a long video, so I'm going to cut it off. This is my 40-week update. Hopefully I don't have a 41-week update. I'm going to say that. I hope I don't have a 41-week update based off of how I feel right now, unless I go back to feeling totally normal and energetic and fine. And then I can hang on, and I'm good with having like the baby cook a little bit longer. But I'm done with this prodromal labor. I just want to get through tonight. I want to get to tomorrow. And my husband and I both agree that if we can get to this time tomorrow, noon tomorrow, the chances are that if I go into labor, I will have that baby in 2019. So fingers crossed. And yeah, exciting times. So wish me luck, you guys. I just need to get through tomorrow. Just need to